Hi, I'm Jo from JHLeather, and in this video I'm going to show you how to create your own tablet sleeve. So there will be a pattern pack available for the 12.9-inch iPad Pro that I make in this video. However, we will be going over how to create your own patterns so you can make patterns for any size tablet. So let's get started. If you have the tablet that you're going to be making the case for, what you want to do is just wrap that in cling film just to protect it whilst we are using it. If you don't have the tablet, what you can do is Google the size of the tablet that you are making the case for and get the dimensions. Once you have the dimensions, what we're going to do is actually make a dummy tablet. So what I'm going to do here is glue together some card. Now, once those layers are together to create the desired thickness of your tablet, you can cut out the tablet size using the dimensions that we found online earlier. Once you've got your dummy tablet cut out, you can quickly buff the corners just to get them nice and smooth with some sandpaper. So now we have our tablet ready, what we can do is now mark the overall length of what our leather needs to be. So ideally we're going to add 30mm to the width of the tablet, and that is going to be how wide our case is going to be. Now we know that distance, what we can do is cut a strip of leather that is that wide, and we can then start putting our tablet case together. So we're going to start by making the front of our tablet, and for this I want my tablet to be covered from the very top of the actual tablet. So I'm going to add half of the distance that we added to the width to take into account the thickness of the tablet when it's in the leather. So I have added 50mm to the length of my tablet for this. Now I'm also going to have a little cutout at the top of mine, and what I have done is actually used a small circle punch in the corners to get them nice and smooth, rather than having it cut straight into the corners with my knife. I'm also going to draw around a round object to get nice round corners on my tablet sleeve. Now this is optional and is totally up to you and what you want in your design. I'm also going to nick the top corners on the front of our case. And now the front is all cut out, what I'm going to do is number one edge around the whole of the grain side of the front part of my tablet sleeve. And then I'm also going to number one edge on the flesh side, just on the very top side of my sleeve where the tablet will slide in and out of the case. Now on a large tablet sleeve like the one that I am making in this video, there is room on the front to add a pocket to store some business cards. So what I've done for that is added 20mm to the overall width of the business card and 10mm to the overall height. Now this is going to allow me to store a few business cards in this pocket. And the design of this business card pocket is going to match that of the front of the tablet sleeve. So if you're making your own patterns for your tablet sleeve, you can make these cutouts however you like, whether they be wavy or straight, or just have it so they don't cover the whole of the tablet. The design is totally up to you. Now the next thing we need to cut out is going to be the flap safe. So this is what the flap is actually going to tuck under once we have got our tablet case together and closed. So for this I made mine 32mm wide. So now we have our components cut out, what we can do is start staining and polishing the edges. So I like to use Talcano on the edges of my leather work as it gives a really nice shine and finish to the leather edges. Now, if you want, you can also add a decorative crease line to your work. Now what we're going to do is glue on our card pocket to the front of our tablet sleeve. So once you've got that glued in place, you can use your dividers and draw your stitch line around your business card pocket and then follow that with your stitch markers. We're now going to double hand stitch this on to our sleeve, starting with 2 back stitches and finishing with 1.5 back stitches, so both sides match. Once stitched on, you can then go ahead and tap down the stitches with a hammer. Now the next thing we're going to do is glue the front of our tablet sleeve to the rest of our leather that we cut earlier. So I went ahead and did stain the edges of this as I'm using a contact adhesive, which if I get on the edges of cut leather will soak in so I cannot get stain into the leather. And once you've got it glued on, you can then draw your stitch line and stitch mark your tablet sleeve. What we also want to do now is stitch mark along the edge of our safe. And we're going to mark the middle of our tablet sleeve where we want our safe to sit. And we're going to glue one end in. And we can now stitch this all the way around to just before where the second end of our safe is going to be. Again, starting with 2 back stitches. So if you're making your own patterns, I suggest that you keep this trap for the safe long, because what we're going to do is we're going to stitch up to where that second half needs to be stitched in. And then what we're going to do is, using a bone folder, remove any glue that is sticking together and insert the tablet or the dummy tablet. Now once we've done that, we can fold the flap of the case over, and we're going to mark where the top of the safe meets the flap. And this is where our sort of tapered edges are going to start. You can then mark where you want your flap to finish, and we can then trim this down to size. And we're also going to draw on and cut out our tapered edges. So now we have cut the flap down to size, it's a bit more manageable. And what we're going to do is fold the safe over the flap, and we're going to mark where it meets the edge. And this is going to be the overall length for that strap. Now we've got that marked on, we can square the end and cut that to size. And we're also going to edge this, as it's easier to do this now than when it's attached to the case. And then using our dividers, we're going to draw on our stitch line and stitch mark the end of the strap. So once you have done that, you can now glue that end onto your tablet sleeve and continue stitching. Once you've finished stitching, you can then tap the stitches down with a hammer. So we can now do some finishing touches, like number 1 edging the flesh side on the inside of our flap on the sleeve, as well as number 1 edging on the grain side if you haven't done so already. We can then sand the edges of our sleeve just to get them nice and flush. And then we can stain this and polish the edges. I'm also going to use some Tolkien on the edges of mine once again, as it gives a really nice finish to your leather products. And finally, do some re-creasing. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching, and if you did, please click the thumbs up button and subscribe for more videos and tutorials, and I shall see you in the next video.